Good morning. This is Venugopal sir. In the previous sessions, we completed the B reading of Unit 3, that is the poem Another Woman. Okay, students? Now we are going to take up the C reading of Unit 3, The Never Never Nest, written by Cedric Mount, a humorous one-act play, a small play in which a few characters, husband and wife, husband's name being Jack, Jill is his wife, and there is a nurse and Aunt Jane. She is the aunt of Jack and Jill. These are the characters in this play. What is generally referred to as a nest? Nest is something, a resting place or a shelter made by some birds. Of course, most of the birds. What is the meaning of nest in the context of human beings? It is the house in which we live in, or a shelter. But it is here, the title is the Never Never Nest. It can never be a nest, can never and never. In what way? Let us see how human relations play out in this particular world. We can see there in this lesson. When you look at the scene, the first scene, the lounge of Jack and Jill's villa at New Hampstead. The essential furniture consists of a table on which are writing materials and two chairs. As the curtain rises, the lounge is empty, but Jack and Jill come immediately, followed by Aunt Jane. What do you mean by lounge? A sitting room or living room in a house. The lounge of Jack and Jill's villa. What do you mean by villa? Villa is a small house which is located or situated in a huge garden of its own, or a house having a big garden around it. That is called a villa. Jack and Jill's house it is in New Hampstead. There was essential furniture. Essential means very much necessary. Consists of a table on which are writing materials. There was a table on which there were some writing materials. There were two chairs. As the curtain rises, the lounge is empty. The sitting place is empty there, but Jack and Jill come. In the meanwhile, followed by Aunt Jane. Jill now speaks, the wife of Jack, and this is the lounge. Aunt Jane, charming, charming. Such a cozy little room and such pretty furniture. Jack, modestly, we like it, you know, handy place to sit in and listen to the radiogram. Aunt Jane, oh, have you got a radiogram as well as a car and a piano? Jack, why, of course, Aunt Jane. You simply must have a radio set nowadays. Jill, and it's so nice for me when Jack's away at business. I even make him move it into the kitchen so that I can listen to it while I cook. So from these few dialogues we can understand that the husband and wife, Jack and Jill, are showing their house, new house, to Aunt Jane, their Aunt Jane, who came on a visit to their house after their marriage. They were recently married. So to see those just married couple, Aunt Jane visits their house and they are showing their new house to her. After showing the entire house, all the rooms there, the couple brings Aunt Jane to the lounge, the sitting room, and Jill introduces, shows that, Aunt Jane, this is the lounge. And Aunt Jane was very much impressed with that particular house, and she was saying, charming, charming, very good, very attractive. Such a cozy little room. Cozy means what? Warm and comfortable. Such a cozy little room. Wonderful. And such pretty furniture. So beautiful furniture also is there. Very charming, my dear Jill and Jack. Like that, she was complimenting them. But Jack was modestly saying, modestly means humbly, without any arrogance or pride. He was simply very modestly, politely, he said like this, we like it, Aunt Jane, you know, it's a handy place, a useful place to sit in and listen to the radiogram. Generally, Aunt Jane, this is a very useful place to sit in and listen to the radiogram. Radio, of course. I think you all know the meaning of radio. Aunt Jane, oh, have you got a radiogram as well as a car and a piano? She was really surprised. Oh, Aunt Jack and Jill, you have got a radiogram as well as a car and a piano? That's good. Jack says, why, of course, Aunt Jane. You simply must have a radio set nowadays. Yes, of course, Aunt Jane, nowadays everybody must possess a radiogram, a radio set. And Jill also says, and it is so nice for me when Jack's away at business. Yes, Aunt Jane, when Jack goes on or goes out on his business, it is very nice for me because I just can relax here, sit here, listen to the music on the radiogram. And I even make him move it into the kitchen so that I can listen to it while I cook. And sometimes I even make him to move this radiogram into the kitchen so that I can listen to it while cooking. Jack, sit down, Aunt Jane. You must be tired, and we have shown you everything now. Aunt Jane, please sit down. And you must have been tired because you have gone through each and every room of the house, and we have shown you everything now. You must be tired because we are moving you around the house. Jill asks now, what do you think of our little nest, Aunt Jane? Now you understand the meaning of nest? So she is asking Aunt Jane, Jill is asking, what do you think of our little nest, Aunt Jane? A little house. What do you think of our little house, a small house, Aunt Jane? And Aunt Jane replies, I think it's wonderful, my dears. The furniture and the car and the piano and the refrigerator and the radio, what's it? It's wonderful, really wonderful. Really, children, it's wonderful. I am very proud of you, my dears. Such wonderful furniture is there, car, piano, refrigerator, radio set. What is it? Really wonderful. And Jack says, and we owe it all to you. We owe it all to you, Aunt Jane. We are indebted to you for that. We owe it all to you. It is because of you, your help, or your blessings only, Aunt Jane, that we are able to buy all these things. And Aunt Jane says now, yes, Jack, that's what is worrying me. And that's what's worrying me, Jack. You are saying that it's all because of me. That's what is worrying me. Jack says, worrying you, Aunt Jane? What is that? Why are you worried, Aunt Jane? And Aunt Jane says, yes, that check I gave you for your wedding present. I think you remember, Jack, I gave you a check as a wedding present at the time of your wedding. It was only 200 pounds, wasn't it? Jack, I gave you a check of 200 pounds, wasn't it? I didn't put 2000 by mistake. I am just getting a doubt now whether I have put 2000 instead of 200 pounds on the check, or I wrote by mistake 2000 instead of 200. That's what is worrying me. Jill says, why? No, Aunt Jane. What on earth made you think that? Immediately Jill asks, why? No, Aunt Jane, it was for 200 pounds only. What on earth made you think that? What on earth means what? In a surprising or shocking manner when you express something, what actually made you think like that? That you had put 2000 pounds instead of 200 there on the check that you gave to Jack at the time of the wedding. Aunt Jane relieved. Now she is relieved. Oh my God. Thank God that I did not put 2000 instead of 200 on the check. Well, that's all right. But I still don't altogether understand. One more thing I don't understand, Jack and Jill. This house, it's very lovely. But doesn't it cost a great deal for rent? This house is really wonderful. No doubt about that. Very lovely. But doesn't it cost a great deal for rent? Aren't you paying a lot of rent for this house? Why this much big house is required for you? Jack says, rent? Oh, no, we don't pay rent. No, Aunt Jane, we don't pay rent. Aunt Jane says, but Jack, if you don't pay rent, you will get turned out into the street. Jack, how come? You are saying that you don't pay the rent, but if you don't pay the rent, you will get turned out onto the street by the owners. And that would never do, means that would not be a good thing. Because now you have Jill and the baby to think of, you know. Now you have Jill, your wife is there, little baby is there. And if you are forced to turn out into the street, if you do not pay the rent, it would not good. It would never do good. It would never be good. Jack says, no, Aunt Jane, you misunderstood me. We don't pay rent because the house is ours. No, Aunt Jane, you misunderstood me. We don't pay rent because the house is ours. Aunt Jane was so shocked that she exclaimed, yes. That's the reason why all those letters are written in capitals. You might have seen that, children. That word is written in capitals. Yours. Jill says, why? Yes, you just pay 10 pounds and it's yours. Yes, Aunt Jane, you just pay 10 pounds. The house is yours. What is that? You get a house, a villa for 10 pounds? Let us see what exactly Jill means by this statement. Jack, you see, Aunt Jane. Now Jack is trying to explain. Aunt Jane, we realize how uneconomic it is to go on paying rent year after year, when you can buy and enjoy a home of your own for 10 pounds and a few quarterly payments, of course. Why be Mr. Tenant when you can be Mr. Owner? So he is trying to explain now. Aunt Jane, we realized how uneconomic, means how financially unviable. Uneconomic means unviable. VIABLE. means financially not correct. To go on paying rent year after year when you can buy and enjoy a home of your own for 10 pounds. What is that? If you pay 10 pounds, you can be the owner of a house. Why to go on paying rent year after year? For 10 pounds and a few quarterly payments. Quarterly means what? The amount or EMI that is paid once in 3 months. Quarter means 3. The quarterly payments means, quarterly installments means in a year there are 4 quarters, 12 months. So quarterly, a few quarterly payments if we pay along with, we pay 10 pounds down payment. We make 10 pounds down payment. We own the house. The remaining amount we can pay in easy monthly installments. Few quarterly payments, of course. Why be Mr. Tenant when you can be Mr. Owner? So, tenant and owner are opposite words. Why be Mr. Tenant? Why to remain as a tenant on chain when you can be Mr. Owner? So, I want to be the owner. I don't want to continue to remain as a tenant. On chain, I see. Yes, there is something in that. Yes, of course. There is something in that. Even so, you must be getting on very well to keep up a place like this. Even so, I'm getting a doubt, my dears. You must be getting on very well to keep up a big place like this, to maintain such a huge house, a villa, to maintain a car, refrigerator, radiogram. You must be getting on very well. That means you must be earning very well. Getting on very well to keep up a place means you must be earning a good income to keep up a place like this. Jill says, oh, he is, Aunt Jane. Yes, Aunt Jane. Jack is keeping well. Only last year he had a 5 shilling rise. Didn't you, Jack? What's the meaning of shilling, 5 shilling rise? Generally, a very common doubt that we get. What is a shilling? Shilling is a British coin that was in use till 1971. Now shillings are not there, of course. Pound is the currency of Britain. So, till 1971, they used to have shillings also. Okay, 20 shillings make 1 pound. $20 shillings make 1 pound. A British coin in use till 1971. 20 such shillings is equal to a pound, 1 pound. Just last year he had 5 shillings rise. Rise means what? Increment. In his income or salary he had got a 5 shillings rise. Didn't you, Jack? Jack was very modestly saying, of course, that was nothing really. Of course, that was nothing, Aunt Jane. After all, 5 shillings rise, I am expecting 10 this Christmas. When Christmas comes again, we get an increment in our salary, in our incentives, and I am expecting a 10 shillings rise. Aunt Jane. Jack, I have just thought of something. I have got a doubt, Jack. That car, is it yours? She pointed to the car there, kept there in the corridor, in the garage. Jill says, of course it's ours. Aunt Jane, all yours? Total car is yours? Jack says, well, no, not exactly all. No, Aunt Jane, not exactly the total car belongs to us. Then Aunt Jane asks, how much of it owned by you? Jill says, I should say the steering wheel and one of the tires and about two of the cylinders. I should say the steering wheel and one of the tires and about two of the cylinders. These are the things we are owned by. Not the complete car is owned by us, Aunt Jane. But don't you see? That's the wonderful thing about it. Don't you see, Aunt Jane? Wonderful. Isn't it wonderful there? And Aunt Jane says very disappointedly, I don't see anything wonderful about it. What is there, Jill and Jack? You say that you own a cylinder, two cylinders and a steering wheel of the car. The remaining car is not yours. What does it mean? I don't see anything wonderful about it. Jill says, but there is, Aunt Jane. There is wonderful thing about it, Aunt Jane. You see, although we could never buy a car outright, we can enjoy all the pleasures of motoring for a mere £5 down. You see, although we could never buy a car outright, what's the meaning of buying a car outright? Means totally paying the money. Paying the total money and owning the car is not possible for us. Outrightly, we cannot buy a car. We could never buy. But at the same time, we can enjoy all the pleasures of motoring for a mere £5 down. If you make a £5 down payment, you can own a car and the remaining amount you can pay in installments. And without fully paying the amount, you can enjoy all the pleasures of motoring in a car. Is it not wonderful? She is trying to justify Aunt Jane and the rest by easy installments, I suppose. So after paying £5 as down payment, the remaining amount you will be paying in installments, right? I suppose. Aunt Jane says. Jill says, exactly, Aunt Jane. Aunt Jane, exactly. And what about the radio? What's it? And what about the radio then? Is it fully owned by you? Jack says, well, he is not giving a straightforward answer. Aunt Jane again asks, and the piano? Jill, well, of course. Aunt Jane, and the furniture? Jack, I am afraid so. So what is Aunt Jane trying to find out or ascertain from Jack and Jill by asking or pointing out these things that are there in their house? First, she came to know that the house or the car is not fully owned by them. Car is not fully owned by them. Then she asked about the radio. Jack says it is also not fully owned by them. Piano, furniture, nothing is fully owned by them. That's what they finally said. Everything was bought on installments, easy installments. Aunt Jane, I suppose all you own is this leg. Means she points to a particular leg of the furniture. I suppose, Aunt Jack and Jill, all you own is this leg of the furniture? She points to one. Jill says, well, as a matter of fact, it is that one. No, Aunt Jane, not this leg. That leg is ours. See how funny it is. She is pointing out, Aunt Jane is pointing out up to a particular leg of the furniture, a chair there, a table, and pointing out that is this, all you own is this particular leg. But Jill says, no, Aunt Jane, it is that leg, not this one. She points to another. Aunt Jane, and the rest belongs to Mr. Sage, I suppose. Oh, that means the rest means what? The remaining part of the furniture belongs to Mr. Sage. Who is Mr. Sage? Some furniture company who might have sold it to them on installments. I suppose Jill says, yes. Aunt Jane. Well, I'm not going to sit on Mr. Sage's part for anyone. Oh my God, I am not going to sit on Mr. Sage's part. I am not going to sit on the furniture that does not belong to you. Or exactly only one leg of the furniture is owned by you. How can I sit there on the furniture owned by somebody? She immediately stands up. Now, tell me, how much do all these installments come to? Now she asks Aunt Jane, Jack, she stood up now. Tell me exactly, Jack, how much do all these installments come to? Means how much you are paying towards installments per week? Jack says, well, actually, he also was not sure about how much he was paying there. So what did he do? He takes out his pocketbook. There is a pocketbook, he takes it out and consults it. He just checks the pages there. Actually, to £7, 8 and 8 pence a week. Around 7 to 8 pounds and 8 pence a week. What do you mean by pence? Pence is the plural form of penny. Generally we say penny means a single paisa. Pence is the plural of penny. So £7, 8 and 8 pence a week. See, that means £7, 8 shillings and 8 pence a week. Aunt Jane, good heavens, oh my God, you are paying £7, 8 and 8 pence a week towards installments. And how much do you earn? Jack, tell me, how much do you earn? As a matter of fact, that is £6. Jack says he earns around £6 a week. But he is paying £7, 8 and 8 pence a week towards installments. How is it possible? Aunt Jane, but that's absurd. Absurd means what? Nonsense. That's nonsense. How can you pay £7, 8 and 8 pence out of £6? You are earning, weekly you are earning, Jack, just £6, out of which how can you pay £7, 8 and 8 pence a week? Jack says, oh, that's easy. You see, all you have to do is to borrow the rest of the money for the payments from the Thrift and Providence Trust Corporation. That's easy, Aunt Jane. What is that? All you have to do is to borrow the rest of the money, means the remaining money towards installments, other than what I earn. Just borrow the money for the payments, for the rest of the payments from the Thrift and Providence Trust Corporation. That's a financial corporation in London, in Britain, which loans money for the people who want to borrow and money and buy the things of essential to their house. Yes. We will continue this in the next class, students. Let us stop it here. Tomorrow, next class, we will continue this. Thank you.